Mr. Londa is here to talk about the impact with the reductions in our facilities and maintenance area.
Good evening. The proposed reductions for the school maintenance budget include $61,000 in materials and supplies, as well as a reduction in 1.5 custodians. We currently have a staff of 13.4. We'd go down to just less than 12 to take care of 4 buildings, 285,000 square feet of building, and 62 acres of property. The last 2 years, we essentially have been in a budget where we've been in a very slow decline in maintenance on the buildings. It probably isn't real obvious to most people. It's been very gradual. However, the proposed reduction to the maintenance budget for this coming year will actually cause quite a fairly rapid decline in the condition of the schools. The decline will have 3 primary impacts. It'll really show itself in the form of lack of maintenance, but what will happen is there'll be a increased risk of personal injury. That will rise as repairs are not done in a timely manner. The risk won't be obvious. We won't know where it'll show up. Nevertheless, it will be there. The maintenance of mechanical equipment, ventilation equipment will suffer, mostly due to timing, not being able to get to things as frequently or as often as we would like. Result will be that tend to be an impact on air quality in the schools and ventilation. There will be less cleaning, which will result in a higher chance of illness for students and staff. Frequency of inspections on things like indoor and outdoor bleachers, playgrounds, reduced fire safety inspections will result in likely more violations of those things, and therefore higher risk of an event that some event occurred that we would incur more liability. This isn't meant to try to scare people, but that's what happens when you stop maintaining at the level that you need to. You start incurring risk, and you just don't know where it is until you find out. Hopefully you don't find out the hard way. Second area is in condition for equipment and potential for equipment damage. Preventative maintenance, which we have a pretty decent program on, will result in a reduction in that, and therefore less timely servicing on equipment, which could lead to some long-term damage to equipment, resulting in wasted funds, because you're not taking care of business, essentially. Other areas that you will not be able to get to may seem like nuisance things like roof leaks, but they do have other impacts, such as when you have a roof leak, you can have concern about damage to asbestos, the chance of mold becoming an issue, and damage to ceilings. The third area that I'm concerned about is potential loss of funding for a school building project. The Massachusetts School Building Authority awards 2% for an excellent maintenance program reimbursement. The reimbursement rate is scaled so the town could earn up to 2% on a project, say, that was around the $35 million range. That would be essentially a loss of about $700,000. The proposed cuts would likely reduce the chance of reimbursement to near zero because the proposed cuts are severe. What we would wind up with the maintenance program essentially would be reactive, without standards, and I don't think would be supportive of the learning environment. The proposed cuts to personnel, they are severe. The evening staff, which is 6 people, that's where all of the cuts would come from, which would essentially result in a reduction of the people that do the bulk of the cleaning by 23%. The impact is hard to understand because we're really not able to cut support to programs. All we really do is cut this quality of support to programs. We don't really understand the ripple effect of the cuts, but it's clear that we'll have little to no flexibility in the care of the buildings or support. The maintenance workers will likely wind up being used to fill in for custodians, resulting in early closure of buildings due to lack of staff at the building. The proposed cut for materials and supplies is $61,000. All of that is actually not bad. We do have a reduction that we were able to take, proposed to take of $20,000 for natural gas. The price of natural gas continues to fall nationwide, and due to plentiful supply of natural gas, so we're able to take that with really no impact to the maintenance budget. The remaining 61 of the remaining 41,000 comes into essentially eliminating all capital improvements for FY13. These include elimination of a proposed installation of a kitchen fire suppression system that, per the Lunenburg Fire Department, is mandated by state regulation, which would be a reduction of $6,000. Replacement of upholstered chairs that don't meet the fire code, another $8,600. Replacement of folding chairs for the district that will mean that we continue to use the old folding chairs, which are experiencing a high failure rate, risking liability for personal injury on those, $6,500. The reduction in funds for grounds maintenance for $3,600 means essentially we would not be taking care of replacing mulch on playgrounds, things of that nature. Emergency expenditure reduces another $2,500, adds to the risk that the maintenance budget for the year would not be sufficient in the event to cover required repairs. The conclusion I have on it is that the proposed reductions will return the school department to a staffing level it last saw in 1995. However, since 1995, we've added an additional 50,000 square feet of building, additional 12 acres to care for. We are looking at potential for raising revenue from facilities use to raise about $30,000 to help pay out the outsourcing of grounds maintenance. In short, the proposed budget will result in a broken school maintenance system, which will be poorly received by building users, resulting in very high frustration levels for all users. This is not a budget that I recommend. I think it's insufficient to maintain the taxpayers' property. It allows the investment the town has made for the last 10 years to go by the board, and because we will not be able to properly care for the schools with the proposed budget.
Good, thanks, John. Any questions or clarifications? No. Any questions? Good, thanks, John.